Sadly, it was just a matter of time before Harry's drug abuse, drug addiction, caused him problems and problems to others for covering it up. It was just a matter of time because had Harry remained in the United Kingdom, none of this would be happening because Paula would have continued covering his drug addiction and all of his nasty behavior. Do you see why accountability? This is what happens when you release, when somebody who's lived all his life in a bubble where he has never heard the word no, nor has been held accountable to his actions, or has never faced any consequences, is released into the real world where people, real people, will hold you accountable. And this applies for both Harry and Meghan Markle. Yeah, let's explore this video.
What kind of king do you think he'll be?
Well, you know what you're getting because he's been practicing for a bit. And I don't think he'll change. You know, he is committed to his own level of service. That will remain true.
I got so many comments. Before I start, I got so many comments. Why do you keep saying thank you for the donations and the PayPal? Well, I was taught to be grateful and to be polite. And if somebody donates a PayPal amount to my account or a super chat or a super thanks, that is their money they're willingly giving to help me in my channel. So I will always say thank you, even if it bothers other people. Okay, so thanks to all of you guys for supporting my channel. Thanks for coming here to watch it crazy. Thanks for sharing your comments, for writing the nice emails, because God knows I get so many nasty ones. So thank you for all of that.
It hurts his family and it hurts his friends. I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using. So remember, don't, or else. Okay?
The Heritage Foundation, it's taking the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to court because of Prince Harry's and the fact that the government, the United States government, the current administration, it's used to such shady dealings that they think they can get away with protecting a wanker from England using a title. There are no titles that can protect Harry from any of this and from the U.S. people. The U.S. people don't muck about. So yeah. And you know what's interesting? They say, oh, the right-wing Heritage Foundation. They make it sound like a terrible connotation for the fact that they're asking legitimate questions. Not only has Prince Harry, I don't know if he disclosed or not in his application, his past drug use, but I don't think he put in his visa application that he intended to continue using drugs. I don't believe he has put that in there, because in the book Spare, I know that a lot of focus is being given right now in this lawsuit to his visa application, which would be fraud, and that would mean that Harry would face jail time. Never mind deported. That is fraud. That is committing fraud. Lying in a federal document to the government is a federal crime with a minimum of 2 years jail sentence. Okay? So never mind about what if he lied there, although that is pretty big. It's the fact that he's gone and continued using drugs. He's publicly endorsing drug addiction. That is what Harry's doing. He's publicly endorsing drug addiction in a foreign country while having under a visa, immigrant's visa. And he's gone in very different public forums to endorse public drug addiction, because he's not your average, habitual or your recreational user. No, this man, it's clearly a drug addict. He clearly is. So that is a federal crime, because he's with a visa, he's an immigrant, state laws do not apply to him. He's bound or he is accountable, he's held accountable under federal law. And under federal law, he's committing a crime. Now, what I'm about to say is not a joke. A lot of people are saying that marijuana is okay to use, is safe to use. It's not. And it makes me question, how young was Harry when he started using marijuana? There's only 1 point difference between somebody declared mentally disabled or retarded, I don't know if that's the word that people still use nowadays, and normal. 1 point IQ. When you start consuming marijuana habitually as a youngster, you drop up to 8 points in IQ. 8 points is huge. That is huge. And you don't get it back when you stop using it. We know that Harry hasn't stopped using it. Long-term effects of marijuana also are, heavily linked to paranoia, schizophrenia, it slows the brain, how to use, how to think, mobility. It's all kinds of things. And clearly, Harry and Meghan are trying to normalize drug addiction. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to normalize drug addiction, which is not healthy. It's like saying, oh yeah, smoke. Oh yeah, drink heavily. Because Harry is not a recreational user. This is a man who, according to his own words in his book, he inhaled his laughing gas at the hospital while Archie was being born. And listen carefully that I don't say that while Meghan Markle was giving birth. Well, he claims that Archie was being born. And I have a theory about that. I think the surrogate was giving birth and they were there for only 2 hours. Harry and Meghan, they just showed up to pick up the baby. But I don't think Meghan gave birth. But these are, well, that's another thing for another day. But this is a man by his own account, he's endorsing ayahuasca, he's endorsing heavy use of marijuana. Cocaine didn't do anything for me, making it sound like it's nothing big to drink, to take in cocaine. Cocaine is addictive. Marijuana, unlike what people think, is addictive. 3 out of 10 people get completely hooked on marijuana. And I know what you're going to say. How about cancer? It helps with dealing with chemotherapy, with certain symptoms and side effects of the chemo. But marijuana, nor any drug, was intended for a long-term use, nor recreational. You know, I know I drink my wine once in a while, but you know, then you have alcoholism, when you have high levels of any abuse of drugs. So, but Harry and Meghan are out there publicly endorsing the public consumption to young kids. Let's not forget that Harry and Meghan Markle did that thing with teen suicide. And by the way, marijuana, long use or habitual use of marijuana is also linked to depression and suicide, high suicide rate. So I am very surprised that even though this lawsuit is in the right direction, that it's not also being focused on the fact that Harry is admitting not only past drug use, but he's endorsing current and present use. We know that he's consuming drugs while in the States because he's admitting it. He even went and did that thing with Dr. I don't know, Gabor, whatever the hell his name was. And again, this is what happens when people who have never been held accountable are released into the real world. They cause problems for others because now Harry is a major problem for the United States government because the Heritage Foundation is not going to go away. I don't think they're going to go away. And I think this is just the start of many, many things that are happening to the Markles. Now, I watched Mr. Markle. I want to say something because I watched the Royal Grift. She's actually, you know, a lot of you called me out because I said that Mr. Markle is a hypocrite and something is not right. Because that journalist, you know that we criticize Tom Bradby because Tom Bradby didn't ask the tough questions to Harry. Well, neither did this Australian guy ask the tough questions to the Markles because he should have said to them, where was Doria? When, you know, I've been asking that questions and the Markles, all of them, at least Samantha, has refused to answer that question. They play coy. They're very evasive, you know. So And then he goes and says something extraordinary. He says something extraordinary. Harry is a nice guy for marrying my daughter. So he's been trashing Harry. And he, to this day, up till that interview that Mr. Markle gave with 7 Spotlight, he has never held Meghan Markle accountable. Watching Samantha and watching Mr. Markle and even Thomas Markle Jr. was like watching 2 separate interviews. Because instead of Thomas Markle backing Samantha and what she was saying, he's like, oh, my daughter is great. My daughter is this. I love my daughter. Yes, the letter was hateful, but I will never reveal it. That was a threat to Meghan Markle. That was, if you don't call me, I will. I will burn the letter before he's a hypocrite. I am sorry. And something is not right there. And if I were Samantha, I would watch my back. Unless, of course, Samantha is on the grift, which I doubt, because Samantha is a very straightforward lady, as far as I know. And she has faced so much hatred and so much hardship over Meghan Markle's nasty tactics. So if I were Samantha, I would watch my back with her father. I would watch out for your dad, Sam. Because if Meghan Markle contacts him and wants to make peace with him, in order for her, like you said, she will do it for a motive, he will not testify in your court case. Forget the court case. He won't testify. Consider it done. Consider that gone completely. Because in that whole interview, the only person holding Meghan accountable was Samantha, not Mr. Markle. He goes on to say, I'm willing to do anything, which does not bode well for Samantha. Again, complete lack of accountability for the way he raised his daughter. Because when you go out of your way to hire or to get somebody to do you a favor, a solid, to do a Nickelodeon commercial or whatever it was called for Meghan Markle, so she didn't feel slighted. And Meghan Markle knew that was a lie. She knew that she hasn't gotten a letter, so they're both complicit in the lie. Mr. Markle, not once did he say, I did not raise Meghan to be that way. What she's doing is terrible and she should be held accountable. Instead, he continues to apologize, which baffles me. Just like Charles, when he posted that thing that I posted is real, apparently. The thing, where the 3 of them, Harry, Charles, and William, instead of being Charles, William, and George. That's how it should have been. Just like the Queen did. Many of you say, well, those are his children. The Queen had other children. And yet, whenever she took the pictures, remember all the pictures that she took with, it was only herself, Charles, Prince William, and George. It was always the heirs to the throne, not the bunch of people. They had family pictures for occasions, but that's it. But we continue to see a complete lack of accountability. And this is when things get rough, because then they are faced with people who have no feelings of love for them. And say, wait a minute, this is not right. So do you think now that the government is having second thoughts? Do you think Harry will be deported? And let me tell you something. Deportation will be the least of his problems. Because if he lied under a visa application, that is a government document. That is jail time. That is fraud, which will be added to the long list of frauds that they've committed. Do you think, Mr. Martin, that Samantha should watch her back with her father? I really do. I really do. I really think she should watch her back, because I don't think her father has her best interest at heart. I really think he's too obsessed with Meghan Markle. He's like, I know what I'm going to say, and many of you are going to react to that. He's almost being abusive towards the whole situation, because it's my way. It sounds very much like Meghan Markle. It's like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to keep bugging you. Because that's very much Meghan Markle's way. And we're seeing it reflected in her father. Because it's like, I got the letter. It's really a hateful letter, but I'm not going to release it. She's a lovely, I love them. Harry's a nice man. Can somebody please tell me one thing that Harry has done in the last few years that reflect that in his character? Please give me your thoughts here.